Fall 2022. I would like to welcome Mr. Jimmy Whitehead to bring the information.
Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another school year and your direction that you will provide for us. Father, we just pray that we'll always be about your business each and every day that we stand before young people. We also pray for your safety, for your direction, for each and every one of us in our facilities. Father, we just pray for our nation. We also pray for our military, wherever they are around the world. In your son's holy name we pray. Amen.
Those able, please stand. Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we're going to say the Itawamba Community College Creed. Itawamba Community College is an open admission, two-year public supported institution dedicated to providing high-quality educational opportunities that are accessible and affordable for the diverse needs of Chickasaw, Itawamba, Lee, Monroe, and Pontotoc counties. As a volunteer member of the Itawamba Community College community, I believe in serving with honor, integrity, and accountability. I believe in respecting the dignity of others. I believe in creating an environment that celebrates and enhances lifelong learning. I believe in serving as a good steward of ICC traditions and resources. I believe in providing a positive, synergistic learning environment for the communities and students I serve. I pledge to uphold the above values and will encourage others to follow my example.
Good morning. I have first let me be one of the first this morning to welcome you to Convocation Day here. It's one of my favorite days of the year, seeing everyone back. And I have the pleasure to introduce to you 60 new employees to you today. So I'm going to be speed reading. This time last year, I think I introduced 70 employees. Now that was over a 2-year period, but today is for a 1-year period. And so we've got roughly 60 new employees I'm going to introduce. I will say that last week I attended an employment law seminar. And in that employment law seminar, one of the speakers, an employment lawyer, of course, he talked about the Great Recession, the Great Resignation. You've probably heard that. A lot of individuals over the last couple of years after COVID have quit their jobs and those type of things. He also rephrased it, though. He said, yes, a lot of people have quit their jobs during the Great Resignation, but he said, I also call it a great reshuffling. He said, because a lot of those individuals went to find other work. And he said, what we have found is that, yes, pay always plays a part in accepting a job or changing positions or something of that nature. He said, but there were other three things that stood out. He said, one, individuals were going to find work that was more challenging to them. They wanted something that meant more to them. They wanted more challenge. They also went to employers that provided or fostered a friendly work environment, the culture of the employer, that they go every single day. They wanted that to be something that was important to them. And then they said leadership. They went to find new leaders that would support them in growth opportunities and in their work daily. And I thought, that makes a lot of sense. And he even said there's a common statement out there that says, people do not quit positions or jobs. People quit leaders. And I thought, that makes a lot of sense, thinking over my 15 years in human resources, the conversations that I've had, that, people don't quit jobs, people quit leaders. And I thought, that makes a lot of sense. I've been thinking about that a lot over the last few days. Well, I got ready to put the presentation together today for the new hires. Now at 60, I realized that a majority of the 60s fall in my specific area. And so I thought, that employment lawyer didn't have a clue what he was talking about. In my own mind, my personality is lovely. So I couldn't see that being true about me, maybe Dr. Boggs' area, but not. So, as I mentioned, we have several that we're going to go through today. I believe we've got their pictures up here, and I'm going to go by different divisions. And so when I call your name, I'm going to ask that you please stand up and remain standing until I've gone through everyone in that division. So first up, we'll go through student services. Mr. Taylor Boggs, head golf coach. Mr. Zach Collins, campus police officer. Miss Alicia Deming, campus police officer. Miss Kelly Beth Ernest, head softball coach. Mr. Dakota Hall, resident hall director. Mr. Jacob Hayslip, assistant men's basketball coach. Mr. Josh Hood, campus police officer. Mr. Damon Howell, assistant football coach, offensive line. Kayla Hudson, resident hall director. Miss Jackie Marquez, administrative assistant to athletics. Miss Annie McGregor, head volleyball coach. Mr. Colin Minga, assistant athletic director and compliance officer. Mr. Will Neighbors, campus police officer. Miss Heidi Riley, resident hall director. Mr. Carol Vogel, head men's soccer coach. And Mr. Darian Wilson, assistant men's basketball coach. Please join me in congratulating Next division, Human Resources and Administration. Ms. Heather Bolton, custodian. Mr. Porkchop Faulkner, event technician, and he is in the very back this morning. He is with us. Ms. Kathy Galt, custodian. Mr. Willie Gunn, custodian. Ms. Tina Harlow, custodian. Mr. Ricky Harris, groundskeeper. Mr. Corey Jarvis, groundskeeper. Mr. Matthew Loden, custodian. Mr. Cecil Lucas, groundskeeper. Mr. Mike Mitchell, groundskeeper. Ms. Tammy O'Malley, custodian. Mr. Chad Price, maintenance technician and electrician. Ms. Leisha Rogers, custodian. Mr. Trey Speaks, carpenter. And I will say, Mr. Trey, out of all 60 employees, probably has the biggest shoes to fill. As for you Tupelo campus guys, he is the new Freddie Tucker. Mr. Scott Stovall, groundskeeper. Ms. Michelle Sullivan, custodian. Mr. Brandon Sullivan, maintenance technician, electrician. Ms. Victoria Whittle, custodian. And Mr. Brian Wood, maintenance supervisor. Please join me in welcoming these. Next, we have the Enrollment Services Division. Ms. Madison Haley, recruiter. Ms. Tierney Key, recruiter. Ms. Deshawn Martin, admissions records specialist. Ms. Hannah Maroney, recruiter. Andrea Caitlin Stidham, recruiter. Please join me in welcoming these leaders. For the Business Services Division, we have 2 employees that I'd like to introduce. Ms. Shannon Gillentine, staff accountant. And then Mr. Joshua Weaver, programmer. Please join me in welcoming. Instructional Services Division. Ms. Haley Carpenter, Program Director, Paralegal Technology. Ms. Amanda Intrican, Administrative Assistant to the Dean of Health Science Instruction. Daphne Jackson, Clinical Coordinator, Diagnostic Medical Sonography. Marsha Laney, History Instructor. Lorella Moore, Library Technical Assistant. Kimberly Poland, Academic Support Center Science Tutor. Ms. Amanda Stone, Program Director, Diagnostic Medical Sonography. And Elizabeth Talley, Mathematics Instructor. And Ms. Alicia Thornton, Program Director, Surgical Technology. Please join me in welcoming these. And lastly, for the Career and Workforce Education Division, Mr. Jay Alford, Program Director for our HVAC. Mr. Scott Emerson, Program Director, Construction Management Technology. Ms. Audra Perry, Director of Adult Education. Ms. Andy Wilhite, Early Childhood Resource and Referral Associate. Please join me in welcoming these people. I also want to take a minute and recognize some reassignments throughout the years. We have a list of current employees that have accepted a new role, some here recently, some throughout the fall and past spring semester. And most of these, I want to congratulate them just as along with the new employees, because most of them have gone through the application, the evaluation, the screening process. And so we look forward to what they will bring to these new positions. So I'm going to ask them to stand as well when I call out your name. Michael Holloway, Director of Recruitment and Orientation. Ms. Lori Little, Director of Advising. Ms. Kristen McCoy, Administrative Assistant to the Vice President of Instructional Services. Paige Kennedy, Ms. Paige Kennedy, Instructional Systems Designer. Ms. Lauren Inman, Administrative Assistant, Vice President of Student Services. Dr. Chad Case, Dean of Students, Athletic Director. Ms. Mandy Miller, Dean of Advising at Tupelo Campus. Mr. Josh Gamble, Director of Continuing Education. Mr. Nathan Ward, Director of Instructional Support Services. Ms. Rachel Steele, Director of Admissions and Registrar. Holly Tomlinson, Psychology Instructor. Ms. Candace Thomas, Assistant Director of Financial Aid. Kayla Newsom, Director of Early Learning Centers. Brittany Wildman, Student Accounts and Cashier's Clerk. Tanya Vaughn, Dean of Health Science Instruction. Mr. Chris Stevenson, Dean of Academic Instruction. Ms. Lynn Millender, Social Science Division Chair. Ruth Ann Williams, Administrative Assistant to the Dean of Health Science Instruction. And Ms. Carrie Lindsay, Adult Education Instructor. Please join me in welcoming. And I did have one mistake. I noticed it when I was reading it. Ms. Amanda Intrican, she is the Administrative Assistant to the new Academic Dean, Chris Stevenson. I think I had it listed as a health science, so please forgive me. So I think I called half the room. I think half the room got to participate in that. So with that being said, it is now my pleasure to welcome a friend of the college for our next portion of the morning and a new member of the ICC Foundation Board, Ms. Juanita Floyd. She is the Senior Vice President of Finance and Administration at the Create Foundation in Tupelo. And not only is she devoted to her work, her family, her faith, and her community, but she is a woman who is devoted to investing in the future of others. So I hope you enjoy this video of Ms. Floyd talking about her rewarding work and our friends at Create, and then help me welcome her to the stage as she brings words of motivation for us to carry moving forward.
I've been with the foundation for 36 years. I've managed all financial aspects of the organizations. I manage the assets of the foundation. And the one thing that I really love about my job is I get to interact with donors. You know, a donor calls in and they'll ask me all types of questions about what they can do with the fund. Then the next thing you know, I've built a relationship with those donors. And then I get to see what they want carried out. I get the opportunity to see where their monies are going and how much of a difference it has made to our communities.
Please help me welcome Ms. Juanita Floyd to the stage.
Thank you, Mr. Center. What an honor and a privilege for me to have the opportunity to speak to the ICC family. You all don't know how honored I am, how honored it makes me feel. Thank you so much. But before I go any farther, let's pause and applaud each of you for what you do every day in your positions to help students and for what you do every day outside of your jobs. Applause. In the summer of July 1975, a 14-year-old girl was rescued from the bottom of a swimming pool at a local apartment complex in Tupelo. The rescuer was sitting outside in a swing on that beautiful Saturday morning when he was hysterically summoned. "Mister, please come help me. My sister's in the pool." The teenager was estimated to have been underwater anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. An ambulance was called, and the young girl was taken to the hospital unconscious. She was unconscious for a day and a half. Her family was told that due to the lack of oxygen for over 10 minutes, she probably would have brain damage and would possibly be a vegetable for the rest of her life. The rescuer, who became a friend and mentor to the young girl, was Mr. Junior Smith, actually a former banker here in Fulton. The 14-year-old girl was me, Juanita Floyd. According to man, I should not be standing here today. That drowning incident is just one of the many times the Lord has sustained and spared my life. I could tell you about the numerous car accidents I've been in. One in which I was told I would be blind in my right eye. Or I could tell you about nearly dying each time I gave birth to my 3 children. I could tell you about nearly dying at the age of 9 months with a high fever and pneumonia. Believe me, I am so thankful to have been given a chance to fulfill my purpose in life. I always share this testimony because I truly could not be speaking to you today. My topic is, you be the difference. I will focus on the journey of a woman who believed in a dream, the power of love, the power of influence, race relationships, and how you as men and women can play a very important role in making a difference in the quality of life for the students and for your co-workers. We're all challenged to reflect on who has inspired and influenced us, and to ask ourselves, are we influencing others? As I reflect on those who have influenced me, I acknowledge that there have been many, but the one who inspired me the most was my mother, Mrs. Bernice Wade Gamble, an unsung hero. Mary J. Blige, the singer, said, "My mother made me strong. Watching her struggle to raise us and feed us made me want to be a stronger woman." Each day that I walk into Create Foundation, where I've worked for over 37 years, I know that it's because of my mother's influence that I have a college education and a career. My mother instilled in me great confidence and values. Her first job was working in the cotton fields. Her second job working as a maid. Some employers treated her quite ugly and unfairly. Her sweet, loving husband died, leaving her a single parent. She then worked at a factory for over 20 years, standing on her feet day after day. Her hands and feet were gnarled and arthritic. Her fingernails and toenails were fungus covered, but she kept on working. She knew she had to provide for her family. She believed in her dream that her children would fare better than she had. Then school integration happened. How does a mother prepare a child for difficult circumstances? And how does a mother create in the child an unshakable confidence in who he or she is and what that child can achieve? In the summer of 1969, the pivotal year of school integration, I had just finished first grade at B.F. Ford Elementary in New Albany. My mother told me that I was going to a new school for second grade. I asked if my friends would be there. She said probably not, but I would make new friends. Every day during the summer of 1969, my mother asked me, "What is your name, your given name?" And I said, "Mama, you know my name. What is your name, your given name?" I replied, "My name is Cosette Juanita was working outside in the garden, I would often ask her to play with me like she always did when she came home from work. But that summer, she always answered by saying, "No. Why don't you sit over there and read your books?" This happened every day during that summer. In August, the night before school, my mother said to me, "You will meet new children. The only difference is your skin is brown and theirs is white, but you're all special children." We arrived at school. I was the only little black girl in the entire second grade at that time. There were other black students, just not in my grade. My mother filled out the necessary papers. Then we walked together over to the teacher. She said to the teacher, "I trust you with my child. I am confident that you will protect her, teach her, and love her. By the way, when she is on the playground, would you allow her to carry her little satchel of books with her?" She then placed my hand in the teacher's hand. Those of you who are parents, imagine how my mother felt when she left her baby girl on the first day of school with white strangers, not knowing if she had prepared me enough or if I would survive the first day. She later told me that after leaving the classroom, as she walked down that long hallway with tears in her eyes, she never looked back, because if she had, as any precious mother would do to protect her child, she would have scooped me up in her arms and ran, but she didn't. Later that day at recess, I went over to the merry-go-round to play. When the children would not play with me, I went over to the teacher, got my little satchel of books, and simply read. Other days on the playground, many of the children called me names, and you can imagine what they called me. Guess what I said? "Oh no, that's not my name. My name is Cosette Juanita Gambrell." Later, when I would tell my mother what happened each day on the playground, my mother would always gently say, "Give it a few more days. These are children. They will want to play." I now am amazed by the wisdom of my mother that summer before school began. Her unusual tactics actually had a very subtle purpose: to prepare me for the trials I would face. I'm happy to say that I went to school with those same white students from the 2nd to the 12th grade. We became best friends, and they honored me in high school by electing me as an officer in various clubs. The administration allowed me to work in the school office, the school store, and guess who made the majority of intercom announcements to the entire school each day? You guessed it, me. My mother was so wise by constantly saying to me, "You will be a light. You will love. You will not hate." Every night I would hear my mother praying, "Lord, let the heart of a child come forth." After I got older, I realized my mother knew that if the heart of a child came forth, the children would not see color. Imagine if that was your precious daughter or granddaughter, son or grandson. How would you feel if your child was hated and mistreated because of the color of their skin? When I would say, "Mama, the students don't like me. Mama, I hate them." Mama would say, "You gotta love, baby. You can't hate. Mama, the boys stick out their legs and trip me. They throw spitballs at me every day. When I go to the restroom, the white girls say, 'Here comes the end. Let's see what stall she uses, because we don't want to use the same stall.'" My mother kept on praying. Can you imagine Mama's pain? But she kept saying to me, you still must love. The majority of the time in school, I was the only black in my classes. Mama talked to me all the time about an education. She said, you must get an education. That's the only way you can do better than me. She encouraged me to go to the college where James Meredith opened the doors for black people to attend. I wanted to go to that college both to please my mother and to obtain a degree. The day I graduated from Ole Miss, I walked up to Mama who had tears streaming down her face, and I said, Mama, this is yours. You deserve this degree. ICC family, because of the late Mrs. Bernice Wade Gamble, I can stand at this podium today to try to make a difference and hopefully leave this world better than I found it. I can try to encourage, motivate, and inspire all of us to love, to have compassion on people, respect and racial harmony with each other. I pray I inspire you to make the best out of your lives. I pray I inspire you to be the difference at ICC. Mother Teresa said, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. In essence, she said, I can be the difference. Nelson Mandela said, it is in your hands to make a difference. ICC family, it's in your hands. The influence that we have on others can span years and generations. A few years ago, I received a phone call from my 8th grade son's homeroom teacher asking me to come to the school so that she could speak personally to me about a matter. Those of you, the dreaded phone call from a teacher. I arrived at the school with a very heavy heart, concerned about my son. The teacher thanked me for coming, and these were her words to me. There's a boy whose name is John. John is white. The children call him a nerd. John has severe acne. When he walks down the hall, they clear a path around him. He sits alone in the cafeteria. When he raises his hand to answer a question, the kids laugh at him because of his accent. I need to tell you that your son has made a difference in John's life. Out of all the children in the 8th grade, black or white, rich or poor, your son started sitting with John in the cafeteria. Tyler is late for his own classes so that he can walk John to his classes. Mrs. Floyd, John is now a happy boy. With tears streaming down my face, I left the classroom and went to my car, where I thank God for my mother, who years earlier instilled in me the value of making a difference in the lives of others, regardless of race, black or white, or socioeconomic status, rich or poor. Her teachings have now spanned another generation. My mother was the best thing that ever happened to me and my family. Tyler told me he and the young man reunited on Facebook. The young man thanked Tyler for being his friend in school. Tyler said to me, Mama, I believe John was on the verge of committing suicide in high Juanita, how in the world does your mother's story correlate with you, the ICC family? My mother's story is a prime example of how to build relationships, how to work with each other, even though you may be different, and yet how to be the difference in spite of the problems you may face or encounter while performing your job. My mother also warned me to be careful how you treat people, because you never know when or if you will meet them or need them again later in life. My mother's story epitomizes her role as an effective leader. If not for my mother's leadership and encouragement during elementary and high school, I don't know where I would be. You see, I never had another black teacher after first grade. I went to a junior college, never had a black teacher, and I went to Ole Miss, never had a black teacher. All my teachers were white, but let me tell you, I made it. I want you to know that I stand on the shoulders of the white teachers at East Union who didn't see the color of my skin. They saw a student and employed their vocation as teachers to care, to encourage, to motivate me to do my best. I stand on the shoulders of former counselors, administrators, teachers, instructors, professors, right here at ICC for helping my sons, Tyler and Taylor, when they were students at ICC. In fact, my son Taylor was the first male from his father's lineage to ever obtain an AA degree from a community college and a mechanical engineering degree from Mississippi State. My oldest son, Tyler, received 2 certificates from ICC, trucking and welding. My daughter, Tyra, is the first female from her father's lineage to ever graduate from a university, Jackson State. I celebrate you, the ICC family, for being the difference. Just as my mother with a limited education, let me tell you, 8th grade education, made a difference in my life as a young child. Each of you in your positions can make a difference in the quality of life for the students, for your boss, for your supervisors, or other employees. ICC family, the odds were stacked against me. If I had given up, I would not have been successful. I would not be working as a professional. I would not have a job as a scared little girl in the 2nd grade. I would not be managing the $166 million of assets for Create. Through my job, I never thought I would be interacting with bank presidents, college presidents like Dr. Allen, hospital presidents, business owners, lawyers, and doctors. As a scared little girl, I never thought that Mike Eaton, your past president, would contact me and ask me to be the commencement speaker for a college ceremony. I stood before hundreds of graduates and hundreds of people. I never thought I would be standing before groups sharing my mother's story. I never thought I would be speaking to the ICC family. I never thought I would be writing a monthly column in the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal about all things, my opinions. And that's pretty dangerous when I write about my opinions. Another friend and member of this community introduced me to Sarah Berry, an author in her own right, and a local publisher. Mrs. Berry used my presentation to write the story in children's book form. We collaborated on Mama's story, and I dropped it, published a book. Listen, ICC family, that scared little second grader is an author. My son Tyler said, "Mom, what a surreal moment to see your name on a book and on Amazon." I celebrate the magic of education. It has opened so many doors for me. I celebrate the magic of writing. We had a book signing at Reed's Bookstore, which was phenomenal. We had so much support from people of all ethnicities throughout Northeast Mississippi. I never imagined that people would donate monies to help get this book into schools and libraries. To date, over 7,000 books have been donated. I never dreamed that this book would be submitted to the Teacher's Choice Award. And in 2019, we won a national award in the category of family. Believe me, this would not have happened if not for my mother's teachings and instructions as a leader in our family. You see, all of us have choices. I could have easily been bitter, a racist, unproductive, no motivation, no love for people, a dropout. I want each of you listening to know that Juanita Floyd could have been a dropout. A part of the statistics in Mississippi, I could have allowed all of those negative situations in my life to affect me, but I didn't. You are in a prime position to impact this incredible institution by being the difference. Many years ago when I attended junior college as a student, even though I thought I was smart, I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to navigate the waters of college. Remember, my mother only had an 8th grade education. But Pam Floyd, an instructor, took me under her wings while on campus. And no, she didn't look like me. Her husband was the registrar, so he helped me. When I went to Ole Miss, she called the professor at Ole Miss and asked him to take care of me. He did. Just as my mother impacted my life, each of you continue to have a chance to impact this world and this campus with your abilities to make a difference. You have the power to influence the many people you come in contact with daily. It doesn't matter about one's race, nationality, or socioeconomic status. What does matter is as working men and women, you can effectively make a difference in someone's life. You can be the difference in someone's life. How do I know? Let me tell you about a great leader in our community who helped me. Jack Reed Sr. Over 37 years ago, asked this question to an all-white, mostly male board at Create. Why can't we hire Juanita? She has a degree, she's qualified, she's trustworthy. Why can't we hire her? I move that we hire her. And those of you who knew Mr. Reed, if he made a motion, somebody was going to second. Because one decision from one person, my quality of life, my family's quality of life changed and improved. While standing in the Reed's bookstore, I recall the decision that Jack Reed Sr. made on my behalf for me to be hired at Create Foundation. And how ironic, 32 years later, I was standing in his store autographing books. One decision by one person. So you see, you can effectively change someone's life. One decision by you. You can change a student's life. You can be the difference. Joshua Henry Jones, a novelist, said, "None of us are responsible for our births, but all of us are responsible with what we do with our lives." As my mother stated many years ago, the night before school began, our skin is brown, yours is white, but we're all special people. Whatever our lot is in life, black, white, Hispanic, Japanese, rich or poor, whatever skills or knowledge you have acquired, whatever capacity, large or small, you have the opportunity and the responsibility to make a difference in the workplace. We are depending on you to impact the lives of the students and others and create a great working environment for everyone. Whatever position you hold, do it well. When I was first hired at Create, right after college, I was the receptionist, the bookkeeper, the secretary, the toilet unstopper, the janitor, the errand girl, delivered 25 board packets every month to board members' businesses or their homes before email. I complained to my mother. Why did I do that? I said, did I get a degree for all of this? My mother very quickly said to me, whatever your boss asks you to do, as long as it is honest, you better do it. And you do it with a smile. Dr. King said, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets. Even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry, he should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. Friends, because of those wise instructions from my mother, the Lord has blessed me on my job. In my 37 years, I've had the opportunity to travel to conferences, take and trainings in-state and out-of-state, to take additional courses. I have been promoted. Guess what? I get the chance to leave my job and come stand before you all today. What a blessing for me. On a recent NPR episode, U.S. Senator Cory Booker shared an experience that made a huge difference in his life. He said, while learning from people like Miss Virginia Jones, a tenant in the building where I lived while a law student, and the same building in which her son had been murdered. Ms. Jones said, describe the neighborhood, and boy did I describe it. The drug dealing, the projects, the abandoned buildings. And she said to me in a very curt way, boy, you need to understand that the world you see outside of you is a reflection of what you have inside of you. And if you're one of those people who only sees darkness, despair, that's all there's ever going to be. But if you see hope, opportunity, if you're stubborn enough to every time you open your eyes, you see love and the face of God, then you can be a change agent here. Then you can make a difference. I thought about my mother. She could have intentionally taught her children to hate because of the world she lived in. Limited education, low wages, being told by her employer that she didn't iron enough that day and they didn't pay her. Walking through the back door, seeing the hate on the parents' faces as she prepared me for integration. But y'all, my mother chose to see a different world filled with hope, opportunity, and forgiveness. She saw love and the face of God. I didn't know it at the time, but she was a change agent. She was a difference maker. ICC family, I pray every day when you come to work, you see hope. You see an opportunity. And know that each of you sitting right here are change agents. You are difference makers. Dr. King was posed a question many years ago. The question, why are we here? His reply, life requires our service. When I think about life and our service to others, to me, President Kennedy said it best. My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. ICC family, every day you should answer President Kennedy's question when you use your skills in whatever capacity at this great institution. An African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. ICC family, you are the village. Administrators, professors, instructors, cooks, janitorial staff, teachers, all who make up this great institution, this great village. This place needs you, each of you. You are the difference makers. In closing, there's a movie that's been around over 50 years called It's a Wonderful Life. The movie revolves around an angel, Clarence, who helps a man, George, by showing what life would have been like if he never existed. Clarence wisely shows George how much his life has mattered, all the lives he's touched and the contributions he's made to his community, made to his village. And eventually, George begins to understand the differences his absence made. Clarence said, strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. And when he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he? You see, George, you really had a wonderful life. Don't you see what a mistake it would be to throw it away? My question, what would ICC be like if you were not here? Or if we didn't have you as working men and women? I don't know your stories. I don't know how many students, co-workers, and others you've helped, aided, and assisted at ICC. But whatever you have done, it has been valuable. Thank you for being the difference. David Jordan said, today is your day and mine. The only day we have. The day in which we play our part What our part may signify in the great whole we may not understand, but we are here to play it, and now is our time. ICC family, it is your time to shine. It is your time to be the difference for the students. It is your time to be the difference for your fellow staff members, and your prayer should be, give me this day to be the difference. I'm thankful for each of you. Believe it or not, all of you hold the key to someone's life, just like my mother during the summer of 1969. I say to each of you, be the difference. Thank you.
What a blessing to have Juanita join us today. Juanita doesn't know this, but y'all may be aware, I have to go to a lot of meetings. I wish I could tell you they're a lot of fun. They're typically not. They're typically not. But I go and I represent the college and I sit through some things that I don't always want to sit through. That's just part of our jobs, and we do it. We do it, and I'm glad to be able to do that. But it always warms my heart, and I get a little more excited about being wherever I am when I look across the room and I see Miss Juanita. And I truly do. And you are one of my favorite people that I have been able to get to know in my time, my 5 years here at ICC and in this community. You are truly a difference in our community, not just because you work at Create. That obviously gives you a tool, a resource to do some things, but just your presence, the way you handle yourself, and the way you connect with so many people. We've had Ms. Juanita speak to our student league dinner before. We do it at my house on the back deck with a group of students. One of our favorite speakers, I think, of our students has been you, and I appreciate you doing that. We'll probably have you back again at some point. So, I like it because I get Chick-fil-A at the house that night. You can give students Chick-fil-A and they'll show up time after time. But we thank you so much. We appreciate your time. And I cannot help but key in on the fact that every one of us have a different role in this college, as you talk about. But we as an institution can't make a difference in the lives of the people we've been entrusted to do that for in our community and on this campus without each individual one of you carrying out your role. It is massively important. Nothing would occur without each one of us. And I appreciate your time and your talent, but also the individual differences you make every day that add up to the ultimate difference that ICC is able to make, which is an unbelievable, exponentially growing impact. Thank you so much, Ms. Juanita. Thank you. There is, I think since you have to deal with me and listen to me for a few minutes coming up, there's caffeinated drinks out there, I've been told, so that'll be a positive. We will gather back at 10 o'clock. Welcome back. Sorry to interrupt the conversations. I'm excited that you're having those and a chance to catch up with colleagues, new and old. But we're going to get started so we can stay hopefully on schedule. So to all of our new employees that were just introduced, welcome to the family. We're glad that you were with us. If you would, we typically do this on this day, if you would take a moment to please join me in a moment of silence for those individuals both in the ICC family, our former employees, as well as our Board of Trustees members that have passed away since we were last together. If you'll join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. While employees may retire, may leave for other job opportunities, and we hire new individuals, our mission will always stand strong to provide a high-quality education at an affordable price while serving as an economic driver for our service district and region. This has been our mission for 74 years and will continue to serve as Mississippi's premier community college. We are glad to have each of you back on campus. We're going to start with the 2021-2022 year in review, but some disclaimers. I will only touch on some of the many high points of the past year. So many great things have happened this last year that in the interest of time, we have had to greatly reduce what I could cover, which I'm sure you're excited about us reducing that. But that also means, unfortunately, we'll leave some things out, which is not a slight to anyone, but this will give you a little bit of an idea of the highlight of some of the accomplishments, but also some scope and scale of what occurs at college. So ICC was named one of 25 semifinalists nationwide in this selection of the prestigious 2023 $1 million Aspen Prize. Hold on, we didn't get the $1 million because you have to get number one in order to do that, but we were in the top 25. It was the first time ever. But the exciting part also with that is, for the fourth time in a row, we were in the top 150 community colleges. There's over 1,000, nearly 1,100 community colleges in the nation, and to be in those ranks 4 times in a row over an 8-year period is really unbelievable. But to also make it in the top 25 is tremendous. For our size, our scope and scale, our diversity in our region is very different when you look at other parts of the country. So it's impressive that we can do that, and it's based on student success, which does not happen without y'all. First time in colleges, This is also an indication of success of the college, its continuing status as a premier community college, and a testament to our exceptional faculty, staff, and students, without whom it would be impossible. Let me just add, faculty, you can provide all the challenges in the classroom you want, but if students aren't willing and able to step up to that challenge, and you're able to coach them along, and we're able to provide support services, or wrap around all those things, none of this would be possible. But it all starts in that classroom, and we're blessed to have some great students that you can guide along the way. The Alumni and Foundation saw a 25% increase in total funds raised for the year, 44% increase in endowment funds raised, 13% increase in endowment value, a 69% increase in scholarship support for students. Thank you to Michael, Jim, Tilda, and our foundation and alumni boards for the work and effort put into that and the impact it makes on our college and our students. Community Relations and Sports Information Department won the most first place award finishes among all of the community colleges in the state, by almost double at the College Public Relations Association of Mississippi Awards. The department won 21st through third place overall awards and won the Grand Award in Electronic Media, the most prestigious award in the competition. We also swept the sports photography category. I was there because I spoke that day, and it was quite impressive and almost slightly embarrassing, not because we won all those awards, but because I was trash talking the other folks that were there that they didn't. The presidents that just gave them a hard time. Because when you can do it, you got to do it. They sent over 450 news releases to area media. We wish the media always ran those, but we send them out anyway. Produced 3 in-house TV commercials that were just exceptional, even on the Super Bowl. Reintroduced, I think they were better than the Doritos commercials. Reintroduced focused marketing efforts on adult education, increased career pathways marketing, and the Let's Go ICCTV.com channels, 2 channels, drew roughly 182,000 views. If you have not had a chance to join in and watch a game, I encourage you to do that. The guys do a tremendous job with that. Business Services and TIS, our technology department there, refunded 5,990 students HERF 2 and 3 funds totaling $5.6 million and some change. Well, of course they did that. That's their role in the business office, right? But that's immensely difficult to do because these are brand new funds with very new guidelines that tend to change on the regular. In fact, one of those refunds we made the first year, the day we sent out the checks, they changed the guidelines. So it was always interesting working with the federal government on that. We continue to manage roughly $21 million in federal COVID grant funds that have very tight and constraining guidelines on how we can spend those. Continue to integrate full outdoor Wi-Fi system at all of our locations while beginning to upgrade indoor Wi-Fi systems, beginning to transition to a majority Microsoft Surface platform for employees and students, and designed and implemented a new room scheduling system and probably a number of other systems that help run our institution, rather than us buying and solving systems. Workforce and career education provided direct credit and non-credit instruction to more than 5,000 individuals, supported more than 12,000 industry trainees, More than 85,000 companies and more than 100 child care centers were served. The division received more than $4 million in recruiting and new grant money. Over 4,000 individuals served through over 160 events at the Belden Conference Center. A lot of events going on there. It's crazy. You can go find a parking spot one day. The next day, there's not a parking spot to be had due to the events that are in there. Roughly 450 students served through adult education. We continue to make an impact all across our district with our adult education. The Mississippi Highway Patrol Preferred Candidate Program, CORE, launched last fall with the first class of more than 10 students enrolled in criminal justice technology. They receive extra training from the Highway Patrol, and they're here on our campus every Tuesday, Thursday, and they even do PT about 5:30 in the morning. If you want to go run with them, they go running by my house. I have yet to join them, but we're hoping that our first 2 graduates of that program will actually receive candidacy into the Trooper Academy this January. Dr. Sermon, I believe, is correct on that. The Forestry Technology Program became the largest in the state with more than 25 majors. Successful launch of the Construction Management Technology Program that helps graduates of the program to enter the workforce as a mid-level manager in the construction industry. Create Your Future internship program in partnership with Toyota through our Manufacturing Skills Basic Certificate program with a 100% retention rate. I got to go to one of those graduation ceremonies at Toyota. Really neat to hear those students talking about staying in that industry as well. Human Resources and Administration. Tim talked a little bit this morning about the number of vacancies that we've had, and when we hire from within our institution, that only beget another vacancy. So it's the year of the blue folders, with 50+ job vacancy blue folders floating around, which they all come to my office eventually. And so never get tired of seeing those, but at the same time, there's a lot to go through on everybody's part. We appreciate that. 6.5% savings in overall college personnel budgets as a whole, even with all that hiring. 3 re-roofing projects completed. A re-roofing project is the least exciting construction project you can really do, because most of you don't know that the roof was replaced unless it was leaking really bad. And so, but it's a necessary evil is what we have to do. So they're not really exciting. The only thing a little less exciting than that is an HVAC replacement, unless it's really, really bad as well. Renovation of multiple buildings and spaces at all of our locations. Those things have been going on and continue. And more than 2,300 work orders completed by our maintenance, grounds, and janitorial departments or teams. This is including the fact that the AC in this building had a little problem yesterday with some lighting, but they've got it working. So we appreciate their efforts to make things happen on the fly. ICC Print Shop printed more than 1.1 million copies and printed more than 9,000 garments. Yes, we do our own silk screen. Our transportation team maintained over 80 vehicles that traveled more than 141,000 miles over the last year. This doesn't include the 110 athletic, student activities, or community-related trips that had bus drivers. Completion of many large projects, including the W.O. Benjamin Fine Arts Center auditorium renovation. Now let's pause for just a second. Those of you that have been here a while, there's something different, right? No longer do we have orange chairs that are from like the 70s, but really felt like they're probably from the 30s. There's no more orange carpet on the wall with sound panels. The lobby is tremendously different. In fact, when the architect showed us the renderings, I made the statement. Oh, I lost it. There you go. I made the statement to the architects that that's beautiful. What's our auditorium going to look like? And they said, that is your auditorium. I was like, no, I don't think so. And it did turn out just as they had described. But tremendous improvement. We still have lighting and audio-visual that will be finalized, but as with supply chain issues and the like, those are a little delayed. But excited about what we're able to do in this space. This is a showpiece for our college. It's a front door in many respects. Used all the time by our community. We need to make it something that will portray the image of ICC that we want. They're nearing completion of the multi-purpose building exterior on the Tupelo campus. Not a project we really wanted to do, but when bricks start falling off a building, you gotta deal with it. So we have. Magnolia Hall construction has been completed. Students have moved in there. If you have not had a chance to see that facility, I encourage you to do so. Typically, you can't just run into a residence hall facility. This would be one of those you can't run into either because it's card access. However, I believe Sarah and Caitlin have orchestrated today. If you want to come by and see that, if we finish up a little bit early and you get by before you head back to your office or campus, run over there and see that real quick. It's a wonderful, wonderful facility with tremendous collaborative study spaces in there. Our library staff was very jealous, and I pointed out this is just a glimpse of what's yet to come in our new library facility that we're working on. The ICC Film Club received a $5,000 grant from, instructional services. The ICC Film Club received a grant of $5,000 from the Mississippi Hills Heritage Area Alliance to complete recent filming that they were working on. Also, they are helping with the feature-length film Mississippi Scholar that had pieces filmed here on the Fulton campus, even in my office. Bradley Howard, Dr. Jada Mills, and Heather McCormick wrote a $20,000 Mentor Links grant that was awarded through the American Association of Community Colleges for 3 STEM initiatives. 5 $500 scholarships were awarded to STEM majors through NASA grant funds received by the college. Our e-learning team continued to rank in the top for best online colleges in the state, with our paralegal technology program ranked number 2nd in the nation. The E-Roads and Leona B. Carpenter Simulation Laboratory was dedicated in our health science building on the Tupelo campus, which allowed for 8 beds with glass enclosures for line of sight observation for our ADN, our associate practitioners, and respiratory therapy program. If you've not seen that facility, I encourage you to do so. Wonderful, beautiful facility. It's so impressive what we're able to do in there to simulate a live hospital or clinic setting. However, I will tell you it does creep me out a little bit when I'm in there. They moan, and the little, they're mannequins, but they're wait, you can't call them dummies because they're too expensive. But they moan at you, and they fuss and whine, and they give birth to babies, and just a lot of stuff that's just not natural to me. So I stay away. But it is a spectacular facility, and at the beginning of COVID, our simulation labs is what got us through while the hospitals wouldn't let us in because we didn't know what we know today. The Associate Degree Nursing and Practical Nursing programs were awarded a $40,000 New Beginning Nursing Education for Women grant, which allowed for $800 stipends to be awarded to qualifying nursing students during the last semester in their programs to help offset licensing requirement cost. Our Instructional Support Services team continues to expand its efforts to add accountability and support for student athletes and those enrolled in developmental courses. The tracking of academic success speaks for itself. So proud of what we've been able to do there in just a couple of years. We continue to grow that with even more changes this year. Admissions, and that covers both Tupelo and Fulton campus. Tyler, something. Am I doing something wrong?
Grab a handheld if it keeps cutting out.
Okay. Admissions staff, I'll say student services. Admissions staff processed well over 9,500 admissions applications. Our support service office continues to provide statewide professional development opportunities that allows Mississippi teachers to receive CEUs. More than 600 teachers took advantage of this offering this past year. The Virtual Career Center posted more than 80 job listings, and softball received the first #1 national ranking in any sport in school history. That's massively impressive. Our campus police team has worked on new standard operation policies and co-hosted Coffee with Cops with student activities to promote information to students. The financial aid team processed more than 8,600 FAFSAs last year and processed more than 3,300 scholarship applications. And even with all of that, I'm sure students still did not get enough money, did they? Student activities continues to grow bigger and better, and what an important part of our college setting to have students activities outside of the classroom. And John Wayne's going to give me something here. Come on, John Wayne. Our recruiting team had some transition over the past year, but we are now back to full staff of 4 outstanding recruiters under the leadership of Mr. Michael Holloway. We look forward to what looks like a slight improvement in enrollment for this fall, so please help us make that happen. Let's finish strong here as we come up to the end of registration. Help us make that happen and get across the finish line. We really need an enrollment increase because we know that impacts our budget long term. What a year. Oh, and did I mention the fact that we did all of these things while dealing with a global pandemic that began to ebb and flow more and more, even got a higher number of cases. You may remember we started the spring semester. There were 7,000 cases in the state of Mississippi at that time. But because of your efforts, following policies and procedures and guidelines, we had, and all of our testing we didn't do on campus, we had the ability to make it through that. So if you would, join me in giving each of you a round of applause for another successful year of growth and continued focus on student success. was going to walk around a little bit on this part, so we'll see what happens. I may lose the mic, I'll come back. As Miss Juanita Floyd said, you are the change, you're the one that can make a difference. I truly believe that. It happens with each one of you. As we look ahead, I want us to remember Rick Warren, author, pastor, motivational speaker, and the question that he asked in one of his books. What do you have that you have been given? Your talent, your education, your freedom, your network, not the technology network, your influence, your background, your opportunities, your wealth, your ideas, your income, your creativity, your gifts. Rick goes on to ask, what are you doing with what you've been given? The beautiful thing is, some of you have gifts I can't even dream of. You've got talents I can't even comprehend. And what's even more beautiful than that is, you use those to help move our students' lives forward and make an impact in our community, and I'm so thankful for that. He states that it's not about the me, it's about making the world a better place. You're the difference in one of the many reasons ICC is a premier community college that it is. I encourage you to see what you have been given that can help make us a better place and to help us make us great for our students. We continue towards our new strategic plan. It is a path to institutional excellence with our three main initiatives: enhance college climate, provide community impact, and deliver quality instruction. I know you won't be able to read all that stuff up there, but I hope you will take a dive into that and really look as you begin to think about your annual planning objectives and the like, that how we can use this comprehensive strategic plan in every piece of our college. I'm often told what a great job ICC is doing when I'm out and about, and I quickly respond with two things. We have great people that are doing great things. And it is our goal to be a little better than we were yesterday. You probably heard me say that a number of times. You're not tired of me saying that. But a little better than we were yesterday. I want us to spend the next few minutes as we kind of finish up this part, talking about how we can make incremental improvements. Incremental improvements is an approach to process improvement. TZ's in here somewhere. Kaizen has some incremental improvements, and you're teaching that in the industry, I know. But your focus in incremental improvements, you're focusing on efforts on smaller solutions that slowly but surely move the organization towards success. So small things that move us towards success. Typically low cost, low risk, and are implemented by employees throughout the entire organization. It doesn't just have to be me. It's every one of us. This is something everyone can do. How many of you have ever done the couch to 5K concept? Let me see a show of hands. Couch to 5K. All right. If Jada raised her hand, I was going to fuss at her because she's probably going to do the 5K marathon, not the couch to 5K. Some of us, like me, did more of the couch to refrigerator concept. But you know, in that, you're taking, I saw that, you're taking a step forward, and you're saying, you know what, I can't run a 5K tomorrow, and if I did, I probably couldn't walk the next day. That's kind of the reality of that. But if I will take a few incremental steps, like I'm gonna walk past the refrigerator this time, and I'm gonna get out to the mailbox. And tomorrow I'm gonna do the stop sign. And you know what, then I'm gonna run to the stop sign the next day and see if I can make that. Then I'm gonna go a little bit further, and I'm gonna go a little bit further. And incrementally, you're making progress towards that ultimate goal of running a 5K. That's how we have to bite things off so often. I did a challenge back this last part of the year where I decided, I don't really know why, that I was going to do this little challenge where you do 100 push-ups a day for, I think it was 90 days. And so I started with one, and I could actually do more than one, but not many more. And then I went through that, and I kept adding, and I did 20 at a time, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna do that a couple times a day. And I got to where I could do the 100 push-ups a day for 90 days. The hardest part was just fitting it in the day sometimes, and I ended up doing like 70 when I got home before I got to go to bed. I thought maybe when I went to the beach this summer that I'd have to make sure I had my ring out so people, you know I was married and stay away. It was not the case. Belinda never got worried. I was okay with that. That was fine. Jordan Peterson, a clinical psychologist, author, and speaker, talks about the power of incremental improvement. He talks about looking at what we are weak or inefficient at, what we are good at doing. And can we make incremental improvements in both of those things? Get a little better at the things we're good at, and a little better, or do a little less of the things that we're bad at. This is about moving to our goal incrementally, he says, not in one big leap, but in many small steps. If we take these small steps, you get a glimmer of the things you're possible to accomplish. As you think about that couch to 5K, you make it down to the end of the street and back without having to stop while you're running, begin to get a glimpse that you can actually make that happen. I also did something similar like that one time when my youngest, Molly Ann, was beginning cross-country running as a second grader while we were in Kentucky, and I was a little nervous about letting my second grader just go out and run where I couldn't keep an eye on her. So I thought, well, I'll run with her. So I worked for a couple of weeks to get up to where I could keep up with her pace, which was about an 8.5-minute mile. So I got there. That lasted about 3 or 4 days, and then she was faster than me yet again, and I gave up at that point and said I'll just have to follow her in a car or something because it's about all I can do. But it's those incremental things that I had to do to get there because I couldn't make it happen overnight. Tiny improvements with persistence, and you win. Tiny improvements with persistence, and you win. He talks about it in comparison to compound interest. I like compound interest. I like it when my money makes more money, and the next year it makes even more money because the interest that I gained last year is added into the principal, and it's gaining, and it's gaining, and it's gaining. I like that. I don't have enough of that, but I like it. Small goals that produce results, that the next goal grows on top of the past goal's successes. Jordan says that if we do incremental improvement well, if we do it well, it will propel us forward. So I want us to talk just a minute about 10% better. What if for the next few years, we don't set... How many of y'all read the Jim Collins book, Good to Great? Some of you have seen that. Great author, great book. But he talks about big, hairy, audacious goals. Well, I'm not talking about us setting big, hairy, audacious goals that are scary and don't even know if we can do it. What I'm talking about is 10% better. We focus on measurable data that we can benchmark, and we can strive to make improvements by 10% each year on that data. This can be done by each person, by each office, each department, each division, and the college as a whole. Again, not some crazy big goal that we don't know if we could ever meet. So can we really even measure it? These are small measurable things. We're talking about something that we are currently doing and strive to do it 10% better, 10% faster, 10% more efficient, 10% less of something negative, or 10% more of something positive. 10% better for you, your area of the college as a whole, but most importantly, we think about 10% better for those we serve. Our students, our industry partners, and our communities. Our students need for us to be 10% better than we were yesterday. They need us to move them to be 10% better and more productive in the classroom. To push the students to get 10% better. How can we do that? We need to look at achievement gaps. And how do we close those achievement gaps based on race, gender, socioeconomic status? We mirror the population that we serve by race, not so much by gender, but by race in our 5 counties. But do we have the same output? Are all students completing at the same success level? And if they're not, why not? What can we do to close those gaps? Our region needs this, our communities need this, our state needs this. We've all got to move forward. So how do we close those gaps? Can we make it 10% better? I challenge you to adopt 10% better in your professional life, in your career, your impact on the college and the people we serve. You could even be 10% better in your personal life. It could be the couch to 5K instead of the couch to refrigerator that I'm really good at, but it could be small improvements in your personal life as well. How many of you wish you were 10% better or had 10% more? I do. I constantly try to grow because I know I need to be better than I was yesterday. The bar's pretty low for me, so I feel like I can make it happen. It starts with one step. It's not a huge change, small incremental changes. Our new strategic plan, a path to institutional excellence that we talked about, I believe we can work with Liz Edwards, your cabinet members, your deans and directors, and we can benchmark the data that will allow us to build an institutional focus on achieving this path to institutional excellence by making things 10% better. You know, it seems like a small goal, doesn't it? 10% better, we could do better than that. Well, we will do better than that in a lot of cases. We're going to fail on some of those. It's okay. We might get 8% better. But think about it, if our goal is a huge number of things to be 10% better than we were in the past, it begins to have massive impacts, and then we grow that year after year. You know, if we want to raise enrollment, we want to do it, and it'll be good, hire some good people, okay, maybe that'll work, but we got to begin to break it down. Can we get 10% more people to come visit campus? Can we get 10% more people to fill out information cards at our high school centers? Can we get 10% more applications in? Can we convert those at the same rate or a 10% better rate than we did before converting them to an enrolled student? Those are the type of things we have to do in order to make the final outcome be what we want it to be. Excellence by making things 10% better. You will begin to receive more information on that in the coming weeks. Remember, it is about tiny improvements with persistence to move us to success. Our students and our community needs us now more than ever to be better than we were yesterday. Join me in making ICC 10% better. 10% better, in my opinion, is doable, and you can be the difference in making that happen. I hope you'll join me in that. So as we talk about the future, we will soon begin celebrating a very exciting milestone for Itawamba Community College. If you will, check out this video.
As the long summer days start to transition to fall, Itawamba Community College will come alive again for its 75th year. For the past 3/4 of a century, ICC, or IJC, has provided a service of quality education to North Mississippi, the region, and beyond. The very essence of ICC lies within the students, faculty, staff, administrators, and a vast number of alumni who refer to ICC as family or simply home. Starting on September 1st, we will begin a year-long celebration to honor the 75th year of the best community college in the state and beyond. We hope you will join us as we reflect on the great memories, friendships, lessons, and accomplishments that this institution has shared with us over its storied history.
Great job on that video. Love our logos from the past as well. It's pretty neat to see that. Great job on that. Unfortunately, I guess we blew the budget on something else and we had to use me as the voiceover. We'll get better at that. 75 years of being the best community college in the state. Beginning in September, we will have many events throughout the year to commemorate the exciting milestone. When you leave, be sure, we still got a little bit more to go, so don't get up yet. But when you leave, be sure to pick up, I think there's room for, I think we've got count for at least 2, maybe more of your, of the logoed stadium cups out in the lobby that has a 75th logo on it. Also, you'll receive an email in the coming days for an opportunity to sign up for an anniversary t-shirt that you can wear on September 1st as we kick off our 75th anniversary. When the doors first opened to Itawamba Junior College in 1948, it was the start of something truly special. Watch this video of 2 of the first members of the first graduating class of 1950, Dr. and Miss Ryan.
I'm Doris Finney Ryan.
I'm Roy Ryan.
Take me back, when you started ICC, what was your first impressions of the college?
Well, I loved it from the beginning because I was greeted by friendly faculty, and that has impressed me.
And I had been in high school 4 years, so it was just commonplace. because I attended Fulton High School.
Okay, so it was basically home for you already.
Yeah, it was on the high school campus at that point. But we were lucky that we had 2 dormitories left over from the 20s when it was a boarding high school.
Okay.
In fact, I had an uncle who had gone to high school there, and it was a boarding school then, about 1920.
Okay, and I learned something new today, so.
They were named, they let the students name the 2 halls, and they named them Lee and Monroe.
Now,
They've been going a long time now.
Did you live in those dorms?
Yes.
Tell us about the dorms. What were they like?
Well, they were pretty nice dormitories. I mean, they were able to, of course, upgrade them some. And we had a boys' dormitory, and actually, I guess the first year, there were about 3 of us boys who lived in a large room in the girls' dormitory downstairs. And then the second year, it was 1 boys' dorm and 1 girls' dorm. Did you remember that?
No, I didn't.
What were some of your earliest memories of the college? I know you talked about how friendly everybody was, but kind of just take us through some of your earliest memories of your time at ICC.
Well, one of the first things we had to do in the dorm was to get acquainted and find out where everyone was from. And then as we attended the classes, of course, we had the rules and regulations. And sometimes we'd meet together and kind of say, okay, what is it they're wanting? And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I worked in the library there.
Okay.
I loved that, and I worked in the office. I worked my way through it. Now, I thought I was going to major in business, but I found out that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be with children and teach, and I'd go back and do it all over again.
And what about some of your early memories?
Well, it was sort of a continuation of high school, because about, I would say, 50, maybe 60% of the students were from Fulton High School. In fact, several of us that graduated that year went to college there. And I had been president of my high school class, and so I knew everybody really well. And from the very beginning, I was involved in all kinds of the activities. And they did a very nice thing. They divided us into 2 groups, which had about 50 people each. There were a little over 100 of us. And we would call, one group was called the Pioneers, and one was called Le Sans Souci, because the French teacher was the sponsor of it, and they came up with the French title, Friends, some kind of friends, but anyway. And we had intramural athletic events, other competitive things in the 2 groups. So from the very beginning, we all, I think, felt very much involved in the life of the college. And of course, in my case, Mr. Sheffield, I knew him by reputation because he had just gotten back from the Army. This was 48, and he'd gotten out in 45, the war was over. But he had been a strong military officer, and he knew how to run the ship.
We have a special treat this morning. Help me welcome to the stage Dr. Rory Ryan and Ms. Doris Finney Ryan, members of the first graduate. your chairs. Well, it's a true pleasure to have both of you join us today. You know, we can't help but think about the history of this college, and it's people just like you that made it possible for us to be where we are today. And so I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. If you could, tell us a little bit about what campus was like when you went to school at ICC.
Well, you heard part of it on the video. Campus for the high school, where I had attended for 4 years. And as I said in the videotape, we had 2 dormitories left over from the 1920s when it was a boarding high school. So we had at least dormitories that first year of college. There were 115 members of the first class, and I think that we had about 65 of those 115 who were from Irwamba County, because at that time the college was just for 3 counties of Irwamba, Lee, and Monroe. And so our student body was composed primarily of students from those 3 counties. Doris went to Shannon High School, and her high school had 6 in that first class. And so from the very beginning, it was pretty much a Irwamba County college for sure. But later on, we began to expand, and they took in Tishomingo and Pontotoc, and we even had a student from New Albany in the second year. So the first year, we had 115, and I think about 15 of those were veterans, and several of them were graduates from Fulton High School in prior years. So I had the good fortune of knowing most of the people that went in that first class.
That's great. So, Ms. Doris, I understand y'all met here at IJC. And I want to know, so you met here and eventually got married, but could you hold hands on campus?
I was in late. I came to the school about 10 days late. I walked into the room where the students were congregating. Roy came up and said, asked, what's your name? I said, Doris Finney. He said, that is the funniest name I've ever heard. It's funny to me. So, we did have a great time, and it was good to get to know each other by going to school together.
That's great. I know back in the day it was a little harder to get away with holding hands on campus. That's why I was wondering. We don't have that same issue today, but some days I wonder if we should. Since I have a daughter on this campus, I'm kind of thinking that's not a bad idea. How did IJC impact your lives?
Well, I think in the first place, it gave us an opportunity to go to college. And I'm not sure how many of us have been able to go that not happened. Most people think that 1930 was a terrible year to be born, but it turned out for Doris and me that 1930 was a good year to be born, because 18 years later, the junior college started, just as we were finishing high school. And what a wonderful gift that was. Out of the 30 or so from my class, I doubt that more than 10 or 12 of us would have gone to college had it not been for junior college being opened. So we were fortunate, and fortunately, even though it was a new college, I don't think any of us had any difficulty in transferring our work to senior college. Doris went to Mississippi State and Delta State, and I went to Middle South. and in both cases, they accepted the transcript we had, and so from the very beginning, it's been a good college, and it's gotten even better.
Oh, and I am so pleased to see the progress here at ICC. So I'm very grateful.
So, our faculty and staff are about to embark on another fall semester. It's an exciting time of the year always for us. For some of them, it'll be their first time in a classroom in a college setting. For some of them, it'll be many, many semesters worth of time in a classroom. But I still think every so often you still get a little nervous. So tell them what you would, words of encouragement, maybe relating back to kind of your experience with your faculty members. Give them a word of encouragement as we approach this fall semester.
Well, let me say something that I meant to say in the last segment. Out of the 115 in that first class, we have 2 PhDs, 3 medical doctors, at least 15 who went into teaching who have master's degrees, and we have at least 4 others with professional doctors. So from an academic standpoint, I know that most of you out there have either academic or professional degrees. Think what it meant to us who've been able to go on to higher education and be equipped for our careers. And if it had not been for this college, that would not have happened to a good many of us, I'm afraid. So it was a wonderful start for those of us who wanted to go into higher education, and we appreciate that fact. The faculty were very personable. Most of them, I'm sure, had a master's degree, because that would have been required probably. And most of them were seasoned teachers. They were not young teachers. And so from the very beginning, I think we had good instruction. Would you say some of those?
May I say
Yes.
this? When I go to all the medical people that we need to see in Tupelo, I have to ask them, where did you get your qualifications? Where did you do? I hear ICC, and I just want to stand up and give them a hand. There's a lot of people that are taking care of a lot of people. So I think.
No doubt. You know, it's funny, I see a couple of things that are consistent theme-wise from your time at IJC so many years ago that what we see today, and that's the fact that we have caring faculty and they're making a difference and they're propelling people forward. Our facilities continue to grow. We talked about that a while ago, about how much it's changed, and just I think about how much it's changed in my 5 years here. The campuses continue to grow and change, and we're able to serve more people in better ways. You know, sometimes our facilities, because of the technology it brings, the opportunities it brings, our educational opportunities grow tremendously. So those things still exist, and we still make a huge impact in our community. You're right, our healthcare workers so oftentimes got their start right here, and we're so proud of that. So Dr. Ryan and Ms. Ryan spent a bulk of their career in Nashville as he was working with Methodist Association, and he was pastor for a while, but really felt more called to do the teaching part, so he worked with a lot of that at the association level. But as always, when you have two that meet at a college like this, later on in life, they end up with a couple of kids. And so we have Laura and Lafay with us today. Y'all stand up real quick. Coming in town to do this from Tennessee, and thank you so much for that. Y'all moved back to Tupelo, so you're back in what we like to call God's country here, and so we can take good care of you. We're glad you're back. You know, the good thing is that by you joining us today is not only the treat for us, but also the treat for y'all, because I know the girls came in town, so that's always a positive thing. I do have something I want to give you today, and that is a key to the college. We have one for each of you. I'm not sure what it opens, but you can give it a shot anywhere. I'm pretty sure it won't open a residence hall, but anywhere else, give it a shot. Dr. Summerall at office has some pretty good snacks in it at times, so you might want to check that out.
Thank you, thank you.
But I want you to know how much we appreciate 92 years old. You shared a while ago. Of course, you said you're born in 1930. There's not a lot of the 1948 class still running around. And we're thankful for our time with you today.
We are funny.
If I can get around as good as you at night, it's going to be pretty exciting. So, but I thank you so much for being a part of the ICC family. And it's starting as IJC, but we wouldn't get here without the people like you that came as students, our faculty and staff. All of the leadership that we've had through the years has continued to build a little bit at a time and get us better and better, and we're going to continue to do that.
Could I just say,
Yes, sir.
have one anecdote? I spoke to this group maybe 8 or 10 years ago. Junior Turner and I were speaking to you, and I related to the group then about my scholarship for basketball. I tried to tell my grandsons that I had a college basketball scholarship. I don't know if any of them believe it or not. But it happened that I had been on the high school team my junior and senior year. So when the college started, they decided to have basketball that first year. And so I went out to basketball. And I found out that most of the fellows had scholarships that were playing. There were only 10 of us that went out. So we needed 10 men just to practice. So the leader of the team and I were good buddies. And so Doc Leathers, many of you know him, he and I went in to see Mr. Sheffield about me getting a scholarship. And Mr. Sheffield, of course, knew us well. He had been the principal of high school. And he said, well, Roy, you weren't even that good in high school. Yes, but I said they need 10 men, and I'm the 10th man. So I got a basketball scholarship.
Passing the plate. That's what we're doing. I love that. We thank y'all so much for being with us, and I want you to know that it's been a treat for us, and I hope y'all will have safe travels back to Tupelo, safe travels back to Murfreesboro and Nashville. Please come see us often, and the college wouldn't be where we are today without people like you. Thank you so much.
Just some housekeeping things. If you didn't get an opportunity to scan your PD, just email me. I'll get you all the credit you want for today. You should have in your email a PD survey, and we would really appreciate if you would fill that out as we plan for the upcoming year to provide you professional development opportunities. Instruction services will meet in here, so if you're teaching any class for the fall semester, you'll get your box lunch and come back in here. But the box lunches are ready to go, so if you would, just grab those and head over to your next meeting.
Thank you all. Have a great day, great semester.